Hello, this is Joe Pryor of the virtualrealestateteam.com in Oklahoma City. You know, if you read publications or go on the internet or talk to your realtor, you hear these terms, well, it's a buyer's market or it's a seller's market. Well, it's fairly easy to understand what they're talking about. If it's a buyer's market, it's in favor of the buyer. If it's a seller's market, it's in favor of the seller. Okay, I got that. But how did you get to that? How do you determine what's a buyer's market, what's a seller's market? And I'm going to tell you very simply how this is done and how we do it for you. It is called absorption rate. And so what I do when I work with a buyer or seller, I take parameters. It may be a school system, it may be a price range, a neighborhood, year built, all sorts of sizes, whatever it happens to be that we're trying to determine for either selling your house or you buying a home. And we take the amount of homes that have been sold in the last year, previous year. We take that on one side, and then on the other side, we take active and pending, non-closed sold, and we say, okay, here's these numbers and here's these numbers. Based on how those numbers come out, there's going to be so many months it's going to take to absorb the inventory in that particular market segment that we're dealing with. Now, for years, it's been an accepted practice to say that 6 months absorption rate is the neutral point. Now, I've seen some people go either way, but I'd say about 80–90% of the people that I know use 6 months. What that means is equilibrium in the market, not a bias towards the seller, not a bias towards the buyer. Now, we also look at trend lines. So when I do this for you, I take a 3, 6 month, and 12-month moving average so I can see if there's a trend line and also if time of the year is affecting things. Try to give you the most accurate data possible. So let's say you're a buyer and the absorption rate is 10 months or 15 months or 24 months. Well, man, you've got it great. In other words, you've got a lot more supply than there are people that can close on the home. So you can pretty well say, well, you know, that house is listed at $200,000, but I'm just not going to go for that. I'm going to go for $180,000. And so that's the way you're going to look at the market. Now, if you're a seller in that situation, you're not going to be able to price at the top of the market if you really need to sell in a short period of time. I mean, honestly, do you want your house showed for a year or 2 years? I don't think so. Now, on the other end of the scale, and this is certainly the way the Oklahoma City market is right now, especially below about $250,000 in homes, is the seller's market when the numbers work in the other direction. That means that, if there's 2 months of inventory, that means that there's very little supply and there's a whole lot of buyers and they're really grabbing up everything that they can get their hands on because they just don't have choice, but they need to buy. Say they're relocating their family into Oklahoma City for a job, they're going to buy. So if you're a seller and you say, well, Joe, you know, top of the market's $200,000, but you're telling me it's a 2-month absorption rate, let's go for the $200,000 because they're not going to be buying it at $180,000. So for the seller, that's a great news. For the seller, then they can get max value out of their house as long as the condition and the location and everything is right, the other things in real estate, they can get top dollar. And if you're a buyer, you're just going to have to suck it up and say, well, you know, I need to move. It's still an equitable buy. I know it's at the upper end, but it's still going to appraise, still going to be worth the money. Here's the deal. If you are a buyer and a seller in Oklahoma City, or any market for that matter, anywhere in the United States, you absolutely need to work with a realtor that understands absorption rate because it is a critical data piece for you making the right decision. You need all the information you can get. This is one of the most valuable ones you will have. And if you're in Oklahoma City and you work with the virtualrealestateteam.com, we're going to explain how we set those parameters. We're going to give you the meaning. We're going to give you the statistics. We're going to give you the information because you need to know, is it a buyer's market? It is a seller's market. And what does that mean? This is Joe Pryor of the virtualrealestateteam.com in Oklahoma City, where we deliver traditional real estate values at the speed of technology.